The first thing the blind girl did after regaining her sight was to pick up a hammer and smash her wedding photo. Then she burned all the photos of her and her husband, along with the wedding ring she had worn for 5 years. Then she packed her luggage and left the city that had broken her heart. At the same time, the man who was accompanying his lover for a prenatal checkup unexpectedly learned from the doctor that his wife had regained her sight a week ago. He immediately pushed his lover away in excitement, wanting to rush home to celebrate with his wife. But before he got very far, the man suddenly stopped with a grim expression, because during that entire week he had taken advantage of his wife's blindness. Right in front of her, had made love with his mistress countless times. It turned out that the woman had once been a little princess from a tribe. While gathering herbs outside, she saved a man who had been bitten by a venomous snake. When the man woke up, he fell in love with her at first sight. After pursuing her tirelessly for half a year, the woman finally agreed to be with him. But because the man had made too many enemies, he was kidnapped. Just as his enemies were about to beat him to death with a club, the woman threw herself in front of him, risking her life. She survived the heavy blow to her head, but it left her permanently blind. Overcome with guilt, the man immediately proposed to her, promising to be her eyes for the rest of her life, and that he would never betray her. However, just 2 years later, the man took advantage of her blindness and openly brought his mistress home. Even though he still loved his wife, his body had long since betrayed his vow. The man's brazen behavior made his lover Anna believe she was more important in his heart, so she became even more reckless in her actions, believing that one day she would defeat his wife and become his wife instead. Under Anna's deliberate seduction, the man gradually became addicted and couldn't extricate himself. When Anna merely sent a photo, he would rush to meet her for pleasure without hesitation. But what the man didn't know was that the woman had already regained her sight a day earlier. She had originally planned to surprise her husband, but ended up witnessing a disgusting scene. She immediately realized that her husband's vows were nothing but smoke, gone with the first breath of wind. In grief and fury, the woman grabbed a hammer and smashed their wedding photo to pieces. Hearing the noise, the man rushed over to check, seeing the kiss marks all over him. The woman instantly recalled what she had just seen. She ran to the bathroom in disgust and found a used pregnancy test in the trash. Anna was pregnant. She remembered her husband saying a year ago that he never wanted children and realized he just didn't want her child. At that moment, the man anxiously walked in. When he saw his wife staring at the pregnancy test, he nervously asked if she could see it, but she pretended to still be blind and asked what he was talking about. The man immediately relaxed, then apologized to her with guilt, saying she had just dodged his touch and that it had scared him. Hearing this, the woman found it ridiculous, but she didn't expose his lie because her family would come to take her away in a week. And during those 7 days, she wanted to see just how hypocritical the man she once loved could be. But to her surprise, the next day her husband claimed he had prepared a birthday party for her and kept saying sweet words of love. If she hadn't regained her sight, she never would have imagined her husband's betrayal. To please both women at once, he wrapped one arm around his mistress and held his wife's hand with the other. At this absurd scene, no one in the room dared to speak. The woman immediately understood that everyone already knew of her husband's affair, and that this wasn't the first time. Then the man's assistant pushed out the birthday cake, but the cake had Anna's pet dog's name written on it. Everyone burst out laughing. At that moment, the woman's heart completely froze. She never expected that on her birthday he would publicly humiliate her. Then the man lied that there was an urgent matter at work and told her to wait there, but she knew he and Anna couldn't wait to sneak away together. After they left, she went home alone, burned all their photos and the wedding ring that no longer meant anything. Later, after his date with Anna, he saw his wife sitting outside alone and began pretending to be a loving husband again. He carried her inside, but as they reached the door, he noticed the packed suitcase. The woman explained it was just some useless trash, not knowing that it was actually all their memories. The next day, just 1 day before she was to leave, she happily called her family, saying she would reunite with them tomorrow. Hearing this, the man nervously asked where she was going. She lied and said it was her friend who was leaving. Only then did he relax. Then he went to the kitchen to cook her favorite meal, to celebrate their 5th wedding anniversary. Just as the woman wanted to give them a proper goodbye, Anna called again, and as usual, the man made an excuse to leave. But this time, the woman stopped him and handed him a document. The man, eager to meet his lover, signed it without even looking, unaware that he had just signed the divorce papers she had prepared. When he arrived at the hospital, he discovered Anna's injury only needed a band-aid. As he was about to leave, he suddenly ran into his wife's doctor and asked about her eye condition, only to be told that her sight had returned 7 days ago. Hearing that, he pushed Anna away and ran home, but soon he realized something was wrong. If his wife could see again, then everything he and Anna had done these past few days. She had seen it all,